Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, my brothers and sisters. MashaAllah, good to see you all on a sunny day. On a sunny day, we tend to go out and enjoy ourselves, and some of us forget about Allah, but it's very nice to see so many of you here. Alhamdulillah, on the sister side, we've got also people online. May Allah bless you all and reward you. As we gather every week to learn about how to become closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And weeks go by and we become heedless. But these are gatherings of light where we come and we have our ustads and they share knowledge which we can take away practically. And inshallah, as we hear today, Ustadh Muazzam will be touching upon a very important topic, a very important personality. And it's ironic we have quite a tough audience here today, because the topic today is going to be the lessons from the life of Hazrat Khalid bin Walid radiallahu anhu. And as you know, his father was a man of many riches, but he used those riches against the Muslims, against Islam. But himself, Khalid bin Walid, he used his riches, he used his strengths and qualities for the message and spread that across the world. And we, inshallah, will be learning about how we can take some of those riches and apply those in our lives. And as we do with every gathering, we remind brothers and sisters here and online to refresh their intentions that you are here for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you are here for none other than to learn how to become close to Him. So we ask you to forget everything that you've learned. One of the etiquettes is treat anything you learn today as fresh knowledge and treat it as a direct message for you inshallah. And we start, as always, some of you not familiar with it, we start with the Quran Tilawat, which Hafiz Danyal would bless us with. And then we do a nasheed from one of our young lads, Zain Ali, he will inshallah do a nasheed. And then we start with a small dua from the Ustadh Muazzam, and then he will go into the Nasihah. So I ask you all now, put your phones on silence and put your hearts in connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we will pass over to Hafiz Danyal.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى ونيسرك لليسرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى صدق الله العظيم.
اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله صلى الله عليه. طالما أشكو غرامي يا نور الوجود، طالما أشكو غرامي يا نور الوجود، وأنادي يا تهامي يا معدن الجود، وأنادي يا تهامي يا معدن الجود. منيتي يقصى مغامي يحذى بالشهود، منيتي يقصى مغامي أحذى بالشهود، وأعوى باب سلامي يا زاكي الجدود، وأعوى باب سلامي يا زاكي الجدود. يا تواز الكون إني عاشق مستهام، يا تواز الكون إني عاشق مستهام، مغرم والمدح فني يا بدر التمام، مغرم والمدح فني يا بدر التمام. طالما أشكو غرامي يا نور الوجود، طالما أشكو غرامي يا نور الوجود، وأنادي يا تهامي يا معدن الجود، وأنادي يا تهامي يا معدن الجود. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله صلى الله عليه.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نويت تعلم وتعليم وتذكر تذكير ونفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة وحث على تمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم والدعاء إلى الهدى ودلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى. أما بعد. السلام عليكم. So, a couple of weeks back we talked about the Battle of Uhud, and we mentioned that during this battle there were many great Sahaba that partook, and one of those greats was Khalid ibn Walid radiallahu anh. And we can only know Khalid radiallahu anh by knowing who his father was, and his father's name was Walid ibn Mughira. And Walid ibn Mughira, he was one of the chieftains of Makkah and the Quraysh, of the Banu Makhzum tribe. And they say he was the one that would feed all the Hajis before Islam, right? That people would come for pilgrimage, that he would solely take the job of feeding all of those pilgrims. They got any given time, he had 100,000 dinar, extremely wealthy, extremely intelligent, known for his language, articulation. He's what we call like the perfume of Quraysh, one of the highly ranking people and leaders of the Quraysh. And he was the one that coined the term that when the Prophet ﷺ initially came into Makkah with his message, it was Walid that said, call him a magician. And the story goes that when, just before the period of Hajj, the Quraysh came, the non-believers came to Walid, and Walid goes, we need to make sure that we're all on the same page, that when people come, we can tell them not to follow the Prophet Muhammad, and he didn't say Prophet Muhammad, he said we can tell them about Muhammad, and we need to make sure we're united in telling them the same story. so that they are dispelled and they don't like this person. And so they said, Walid, what should we say? He goes, no, you discuss. You give me ideas. And they said, okay, what about Kahin, a sorcerer? And then Walid goes, I've sat with sorcerers and he is no sorcerer. And they said, Walid, what about, we call him a sha'ir, a poet? He goes, I know poetry better than everyone here. I know poetry better than all of you. And what he recites is not poetry, because he's reciting the Quran. He goes, it's not poetry what he's reciting. This is something else. They go, what? We'll call him a majnoon, a madman. And Walid goes, madmen do not articulate themselves like Muhammad articulates himself. He's not a madman. So they said, okay, magician, sahir. And once again, Walid goes, I've sat with magicians and he is no magician. So they say, what do we call him then? And he goes, say that he's a magician. That even though he knew that he's none of these, he still said, call him a magician. And this erupted the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where Allah in the Quran, He mentions this in Surah Mudaththir, and Allah goes, ذَرْنِي وَمَنْ خَلَقْتُ وَحِيدًا. Leave me alone. Allah is saying this, leave me alone to deal with this one. I have created him alone, and I will deal with him alone. This is what Allah is saying. وَجَعَلْتُ لَهُ مَالًا مَمْدُودًا. And I've given him extensive wealth. Allah is saying, I've given him wealth, and this is how he's acting. وَبَنِينَ شُهُودًا. I've given him children. وَمَهَّدْتُ لَهُ تَمْهِيدًا. And we've extended his power and honor pretty well for him. And look how he's acting. ثُمَّ يَتْمَعُ أَنْ أَزِيدَ. Right? It continues to talk about him. Then, this is the scary part. The verse goes on and it says, فَقُتِلَ كَيْفَ قَدَّرَ. Allah goes, death onto him. How bad is what he puts forward. And then it goes on and says, ثُمَّ قُتِلَ كَيْفَ قَدَّرَ. Again, death be upon him. Allah is saying this. Understand who's saying this. Allah is saying to Walid, فَقُتِلَ فَكَيْفَ قَدَّرَ. Death be upon you. How bad is it what you've said? And this has got to do with the statement of calling the Prophet a magician. Look how angry Allah is getting at someone saying something about his beloved that's not truth. And Allah continues. He goes, ثُمَّ نَظَرَ. Then he looked around. ثُمَّ عَبَسَ وَبَصَرَ. Then he frowned and he scowled. ثُمَّ أَدْبَرَ وَاسْتَكْبَرَ. Then turned his back and waxed proud. فَقَالَ إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا سِحْرٌ يُؤْثَرُ. Then he said, this is nothing but magic. So this conversation he had alone with the Quraysh. Allah's quoting him this verse, right? Because Muhammad ﷺ wasn't there, but when he's reciting this verse, Walid's listening to these verses, and he's still arrogant. And then Allah continues, and what does he say? What's his end going to be? So uslihi saqar. I will put him into saqar. Saqar is one of the levels of Jahannam, right? I will put him into saqar. Right, so this is who Walid is. Now, what are the lessons we can learn straight away off the bat? That it doesn't matter. Sometimes Allah gives certain people wealth. Allah gives them intellect. Allah gives them honor. Allah's bear witnessing to his honor and his wealth and his progeny and everything. But did that help him? Did it help him? No, it didn't. And this is sometimes the mindset we get in this dunya. You are sometimes given wealth and sometimes you're not. It's out of your control sometimes. Sometimes some people are given beauty, some people aren't. Some people are given a good spouse, some are not. Some are given good children, some are given bad. Like some people are given a good job, some are not given any job. These things are out of our control. Why? Because Allah is trying to show you that these are not the objectives of your life. If it was the objective, you'd have some control over it, wouldn't you? But you have no control. What you have control over is your relationship with Allah. That is what Allah wants you to build. Not the relationship over things you don't even have control over. And you're trying to spend day and night trying to fight and work over things that you have little control over. So our purpose isn't wealth. Walid had wealth. Our purpose is not children. Walid had children. Our purpose isn't having honor and status. Walid had all of that. But look what Allah is saying about this individual. So we should take that as a lesson, that Don't think you're poor, Allah's got something against you. Don't think that you're struggling in life, Allah's got something against you. In it, there may be a blessing that you don't know. In it may be a blessing that you don't know. Maybe it's through that you are guided. And maybe it's through that hardship that you find closeness to Allah. Sometimes people have an easy life, they forget Allah. But if Allah is giving us an easy life, you have got a good job, you have got good children, you have got everything, then it's another reflection now. Do you want to be like Walid? Or do you want to be like his son Khalid radiallahu anh? Because his son was also wealthy. But what his son did, no man, and we'll find out what he did, inshallah, no man could do what Khalid did. And they say when Khalid died, Umar radiallahu anh normally would tell people, do not cry, like for the women, do not wail over men when they cry or anyone who dies. But they go, when Khalid died, women were crying and wailing. And Umar sat there, sad. And then one of the Sahaba goes to Umar, tell them to stop wailing. Tell them to stop crying. He goes, woe be to you, may your mother and father lose you. He goes, for the likes of Khalid, they can cry. For the likes of Khalid, they can weep. Because he knew who he was. Inshallah, we're going to come to know who Khalid radiallahu anhu was. So from his youth, he was trained. Because he was part of who? The Banu Makhzum tribe. And they said the Banu Makhzum tribe, they used to provide the horses and the generals for the armies of Quraysh. That the horses that were trained for battle would come from Banu Makhzum tribe, Khalid's tribe, radiallahu anh. And the generals that would lead them into battle would come from Banu Makhzum tribe. And they go from a young age, when the boys would be grown up in Banu Makhzum tribe, they'll be trained in horse riding. Not only mastering the horse, but to tame a horse, to break and submit a wild horse. Not easy to do. They were trained at a young age. And not only to ride a horse, they were trained to ride a camel and to do the same, master riding a camel. They were told how to master in wrestling. They were told how to master archery, sword fighting, how to use a spear, how to use a lance. All of this was early upbringing of Khalid ibn Walid. And they go, because he was affluent and rich, he wasn't like the other children that had to work. So all he did was train. Because his father was rich, 100,000 dinar any time. So his son spent all his day and night training. Little did they know they were training the sword of Allah. Little did they know they were training a man who would bring the Persians and the Romans to their knees. That this is the man they were training. The boy they were training was going to be one of the great leaders of our age. And this is another lesson we learn. That when we're bringing up our children, whatever you train them now, that's what they're going to be able to do when they grow up. And it doesn't mean that, we're not going to make our son alim. Khalid radiallahu anhu was not alim. He had a skill, but he utilized that skill for the sake of Allah. So what is your skill? Think, what skill do I have? And utilize that skill in a way of dawah, in a way of calling people to Islam. Not everyone's expected to be alim. Khalid was not alim. But look, the level of Islam he brought east and west. Right? Islam went into Persia, Islam went into Rome, Sham, Syria. The Muslims today in Syria are Muslim because of Khalid radiallahu anh, right? So look at the skill that you have and try employing it for the sake of Allah. And they say that at a young age, Khalid would wrestle, and he wrestled another individual who was once again a similar breed to Khalid. And the breed of Khalid and radiallahu anhu, they were known as khattatin. What does that mean? They call them the line drawers. They would sit on horses and their feet would touch the floor. So these were 7-foot men really. Tall, strong men. They weren't, so this Khalid radiallahu anhu was fighting another khattatin. And they go, Khalid grabbed this individual and he threw him. And as he threw this individual, the individual broke his leg. And who's this individual that he threw? It was Umar ibn Khattab, the second caliph of Islam. Once again, another strong. Like, who's Umar? They go, when he left and he became Muslim, he's leaving Makkah. You go, he's the only one that left publicly. Because all the Muslims were scared and they left at night or they would leave quietly. They go, Umar turned around. He went to the Kaaba. This is like the capital. And he goes, whoever wants their wife to lose a husband, whoever wants their fathers to lose a son, come meet me down this valley if you want to stop me. No one showed up, right? This is Umar. Who broke his leg? Khalid radiallahu anhu, right? This is who Khalid is. This is the individual we're talking about today. And they say that Uhud, the battle of Uhud, was the only battle the Prophet ﷺ lost, and the reason he lost it was because of Khalid radiallahu anhu. That Khalid ibn Walid, they go that, we know, we mentioned Battle of Uhud, there was 50 archers on top of the mountain, and the Prophet told them, stay here. However, some of them didn't listen, and they came down during the battle. And then this is the opportunity Khalid ibn Walid radiallahu anhu took, and he counteracted the Muslims, and he attacked them from the back. And in the battle, he tried to do this 3 times. And Amr ibn As says about Khalid, he goes, he's a friend of death, master of war. He has a dash of a lion and a patience of a cat. And in Uhud, he showed his patience of a cat. And then when he got the opportunity, he attacked the Muslims from the rear and he dashed at them. He would strike at the Muslims and they would fall, and he would say, I am the son of Ibn Sulaiman. And he would take them down one by one. This is when he was non-Muslim. And what lessons we learn from this now? Is that the archers came down, they had a moment of lapse, and look what it caused. They had a moment of a lapse, and look what it caused them, a defeat in battle. Likewise, in our life, our archers are the remembrance of Allah. When you lapse in the remembrance of Allah, and your objective of this life, that your objective is Allah, when you lose that objective, it's like you're sending your archers down that mountain. And now you're opening yourself from the attacks of shaitan. That when in your life, if you don't understand in that week, what is my objective today? And you lose that, you've opened yourself up now to attack. And this is what happened in Uhud. That for a moment lapse, it caused them 70 Sahaba or so passed away or were made shaheed at this battle. Right? And to no other than Khalid. This was all because of Khalid. Hamza radiallahu anhu passed away because of this individual. But understand what I'm trying to get at is his prowess on the battle, on the battlefield. This was who he was. And when he became Muslim, the tables turned completely. And we know that during the battle when Khalid ibn Walid went to Abu Sufyan, he goes, and Abu Sufyan goes to Khalid, Muhammad is dead. Muhammad is gone. And look how clever Khalid is. He goes, men like Muhammad don't die so easily. He goes, men like Muhammad don't die so easily. And he went and he saw some men climbing the Mount Uhud, and he followed them, and he realized that the Prophet was alive. Right? So he wasn't just a fool, like a brave warrior without a mind. He was highly intellectual, been trained from a young age for the art of war, art of wrestling, art of archery. He was trained from a young age. And they say there were only 2 generals in our history that never lost, or in history, that never lost a battle. Genghis Khan and Khalid ibn Walid. But they say about Genghis Khan, his saying was what? Well, his motto, he goes, man's highest joy in victory is to conquer one's enemies, to pursue them, to deprive them of their possessions, to make their beloved weep, to ride on their horses, and then when everything is gone, to embrace their wives and daughters. This was the saying of Genghis Khan. He was a tyrant. But the other individual, Khalid ibn Walid radiallahu anhu, he was a mercy of Allah. He was a mercy from Allah. And what was his motto? What was his saying? He would say, more beloved, because the most beloved thing to me is to go out in the way of Allah on a cold, frosty night. And he goes, Wallahi, he goes, I swear by Allah, this is more beloved to me than the first night with my wife. He goes, this is more beloved to me than having glad tidings of a newborn child. This is Khalid's mind. And why was that? Why is his mindset like that? Because of the saying of the Prophet ﷺ, where the Prophet says, غَدْوَةٌ أَوْ رَوْحَةٌ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ خَيْرٌ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا وَمَا فِيهَا. That going out in the morning in the way of Allah and also in the evening is more virtuous than the whole world and what is in it. So to leave the house for the sake of Allah is more virtuous than everything in the world. And another lesson we can learn from this is, what do we leave the house for? That when we leave the house, how many times do we leave the house for nafs? How many times do we leave the house for the way of shaitan? Or are we leaving the house for the sake of Allah, to propagate the message, to go to the masjid, to go, to go to a good place. Right? This should be our thought. Look, one hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, Khalid took and ran with it. He ran through the Persians with it. He ran through the Romans with it. Just that one hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. And this was the uniqueness about the Sahaba, right? That we find the likes, right, of the Sahaba buried in Turkey. That they're not buried. Ayyub Ansari radhiyallahu anh isn't buried in Turkey because he was going to go on a holiday with his wife to Turkey. Check out Istanbul. No, he's buried there because the Prophet goes that there will be a leader, whoever conquers Constantinople, he will be a blessed leader, and the army, the Jaysh, will be a blessed army. And just that hadith, Ayyub Ansari radhiyallahu anh, in his 90s, in his old age, he travels to Turkey just so he can fulfill that hadith. And they say that when they were they had besieged the gates and the walls of Istanbul. And then Abu Ansari was part of radhiyallahu anhu, he was part of that army. And what happened is he passed away. But he wrote down that when I pass away, bury me in the land of Istanbul. So don't bury me outside, bury me inside the walls of Istanbul. And when they buried him, the enemies or the people in Istanbul, they were like, why are you burying this person here? And they were about to remove his grave. And the commander of the Muslim army, they go, if you take him out of the grave, because I will slaughter every Persian, because the Romans had that part, because I will slaughter every Roman that I see. And they go, what the king did, he put guards around the grave of Ayyub Ansari just to protect him. Right, so no one touches the grave. So, side point. But these are lessons that we can learn. What is our cause of leaving the house? Yeah, are we leaving the house because of nafs and shaitan? Or are we leaving the house for the sake of Allah? And so we move on now. And inshallah, we're coming towards the end. We're going to continue his life, inshallah, next lesson as well. But there's a thing I want to mention, that during the Battle of Khandaq, so Khalid radhiyallahu anhu is still a non-Muslim at this time. And they say that during the Battle of Khandaq, the Muslim army was completely surrounded by the Quraysh. 10,000 Quraysh surrounded the Muslims. And they say that the only people that managed to get across was due to Khalid radhiyallahu anhu doing tactics on the field, that he kept the Muslims under such pressure that they had a lapse, and then Khalid was able to get two parties across. He went over, and Ikramah ibn Jahl, the son of Abu Jahl, he managed to get over the trench. And they say when they got over the trench, Ikramah, he was accompanied by this other individual known as Amr ibn Abdul Wud, right? And why do I want to mention this story? Is because, number one, it was Khalid that allowed this individual to get over. That you can constantly see that when Khalid radhiyallahu anhu was a non-Muslim, he was causing these issues. Once again, it's got to do with his prowess on the battlefield. And so when they managed to get over the Battle of Khandaq, the walls, Amr ibn Wud, he came forward, and something you need to know about who Amr is. He was one of the greatest and fiercest warriors in Makkah and known by Quraysh. They used to call him, he's like a 500 man. Like this one individual, they would say he's as strong as 500 men. Mothers would scare the children with him. They go, if you don't go to sleep, we're going to call Amr ibn Abdul Wud. He was the bogeyman. Yeah, he was the boogeyman of Quraysh. Right? And so he comes across and he calls the Muslims. He goes, come fight me. He goes, Muhammad, send one of your men to fight me. He goes, I've heard that you say that when you die, you go to Jannah. So which of your followers wants Jannah? Bring them forward. This is Amr ibn Abdul Wud. He goes, bring them forward. I'll send your people to Jannah. And so Ali ibn Abi Talib radhiyallahu anhu was there, and he got angry. He stood up. He goes, Ya Rasul, let me go fight him. And he was a young man at this time. And the Prophet goes, Ali, sit down. Do you not know this is Amr? This is not any warrior that you're going up against. He goes, sit down. And then Amr ibn Abdul Wud, he goes, send the Prophet. What is this, your religion? What's this? He starts saying comments. And Ali got even more angry. He got even more enraged. He goes, Ya Rasulullah, let me go. Let me fight him. And the other Sahaba, they no one was coming forward except for Ali. And the Prophet goes, he took his turban off and he put it on top of Ali. And he gave him his sword, the Dhul Fiqar. And there's something unique here. And this is a sunnah of Khalid as well. They go that Khalid had an Imamah Sharif. And in that Imamah Sharif, he would always carry the hair of the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet, and he knew that, and his belief, his aqeedah was, as long as I have the hair of the Prophet, I will never lose a battle. That was his belief. He goes, as long as I have the sunnah, the blessed body on me, I will never lose a battle. And this is a lesson we can learn. That Ali radiallahu anh, he probably had the same aqeedah. He knew he's got the Imamah Sharif of the Prophet ﷺ, he's got the sword. That when you don the sunnah, then there's only victory. When you wear the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, may that be inwardly or outwardly, there's only going to be success. And that's a lesson we can learn, and you will learn that from Khalid's life. That he went into battles, meaning he went against 200,000 armies, and you only had like 25,000 people on his army, and you would fight them. But his belief was, I have the hair of the Prophet, they don't. That's my get out of this card, right? That this is the way I'm going to win. And so Ali, he approaches now Abdul Wud, and Amr Abdul Wud goes, who have you sent me? This small man you sent me. You sent me this small individual. He goes, could you not have sent me anyone else? And look at Ali radiallahu anhu, he responds. He goes, I am the lowest of all of them. You don't deserve anyone but me. He goes, if you think I'm the lowest, I am the lowest. Look his humility. This is the Prophet's cousin, Prophet's son-in-law, one of the caliphs of Islam, right? Ahlul Bayt. He goes, I am the lowest amongst the believers, and you deserve no one but me. And then Ali goes, Abdul Wud, I'll give you two options. You either recite the kalima, or you leave. Amr Abdul Wud goes, he goes, for the kalima, if my head was in hell, and I was burning in hell, I still would not say the kalima. He goes, whereas me walking away, he goes, I'm not going to walk away from a boy. I'm not going to walk. If I go away, people will be like, you ran away from a young boy. He goes, I'm not going to do that. And then he goes to him, who are you? Because Ali is a young man. He goes, who are you? He goes, I'm Ali ibn Talib. I'm Ali, the son of Talib. And then Amr goes, I used to know your father. He goes, look, I don't want to kill you. Ali goes, you may not want to kill me, but I want to kill you. And they go, this enraged Amr, and he ran towards him. And they go, Ali was young, he was light, so he was nimble. And so he moved side to side to the point that Amr got tired. And they go, Ali had strength. And he ran into him, he took him down, he pulled his dagger to finish him. And they go, what? Abdul Wud spat in his face. They go, when he spat in his face, he stood up. And Amr's like, what's happening? Why are you not finishing me? He goes, I am a believer. He goes, initially when I was coming for you, I was doing it for the sake of Allah. But when you spat, it was personal. Because we don't fight personal battles here. I'm only fighting here for the sake of Allah. So look at Ali, that even in such a dire moment, he's looking at his intention of why he's doing it. That he's rectifying his intention. And this brings a hadith, and then obviously he stands up, and as he's walking off, Amr comes behind him, and Ali turns around, he finishes him, and he kills him. This is like a mismatch between David and Goliath, right? But what you have the sunnah, you got the Imam Sharif of the Prophet. There's no chance you're going to lose, right? But this brings us to hadith, and we'll finish on this hadith, where it's got to do with intention. And they're saying that Yawmul Qiyamah, the first people that will be brought to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be the martyrs. And they will be brought, and it will be said to them, what favors did you have, and how did you recognize them? And the martyr will say, Ya Allah, I fought for you and I died for you. Allah will say, you lie. You only fought to be known as brave. And then he will be dragged to hell. And then another man will be brought, and this will be an alim. And it will be said to this alim, what blessings did you have? And he would say, I had knowledge. He goes, I studied and I taught and I recited the Quran for your sake, Ya Allah. Allah will say, you lie. And they go, take him, and he will go to hell. And then another individual will come, and Allah will say the same thing. What blessings did you have? And he would say, I had wealth, Ya Allah, and I spent it in your way. And every moment I had, I spent it in your path. Allah will say, you lie, you only did it to be called generous, and you'll be taken into hell. Right? So, one thing you need to understand is that when you're on doing the ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you're doing these things, it's always important to remember why you're doing it. Because Ali knew why he was fighting. Ali knew why he put his neck on the line, radiallahu anh. And so did Khalid, radiallahu anh. They knew why they were there. They weren't there. And even towards the end of his life, where when he's fighting the Romans, he gets what? His post gets removed. From a general, he gets put to a normal soldier. He gets removed and he gets replaced, but the guy continues to fight in the army. Because his intention wasn't status, and he continued. So we need to look at, once again, our intentions. Why are we doing what we're doing? That you are here, what are your intentions for being here? You're going to work, what are your intentions for going to work? These things come into practice, because on Yawm al-Qiyamah, doesn't matter who you are, what you are, it's about your intention that you had. That if you are sincere in your intention, Allah will inshallah give you what you intend. Inshallah, we'll end with that. Subhanak wa bihamdika nastaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
Jazakallah khair, Ustadh Muazzam, for the nasiha. We'll just pause there for a second and ask if brothers have any questions. Any topic or even non-topic related questions. No? Okay, inshallah. We've got some questions from the sisters. I'll read them both out, Ustadh, and then you can order. One is the non-topic related. What's the ruling on passing on information about someone which may or may not be true and may damage their reputation, like people tend to in general conversations with family and friends? Where is the line between passing info and gossiping? That's the first question. And the second one is, how do we remain strong in our own individual battle amongst our nafs and shaitan?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Regarding the first question, which is passing information, in Surah Hujurat, it mentions فَتَبَيِّن, that whenever you are given news, confirm it. Right? Number one is confirm the news you're getting. Right? That don't just pass on information. We're in a time of mass information. We get messages, we pass them on without a thought. And it's probably not the information ruling you want. You want to know, is it possible to do a ghiba, backbiting? Backbiting is always haram unless in specific scenarios. And those that can be, for example, if a potential spouse is looking for someone, you can then tell them the truth about the person. Right? So in that you can pass information in regards to someone's looking for a spouse. Or for example, someone's looking for a job, and then the manager goes to you, what do you think of this person? Do you know him? Then you can tell it. So certain times there's a rulings where the exception, those exceptions. Generally, my advice, as it mentions in a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, وَمَنْ كَانَ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ فَلْيَقُلْ خَيْرًا أَوْ لِيَصْمُتْ. That those who believe in Allah and the last day, speak good or remain silent. Right? It's better that you remain silent unless the information you're giving, as we mentioned, is of one of those rulings of exception. Okay, but then it's very specific what you may be asking. You can ask a mufti or an imam, inshallah. But generally, that is the ruling, that you should always confirm the information that you have and not just pass it on. This is mentioned in Surah Hujurat as well, so one can do that, inshallah. The other question was,
how do we remain steadfast in our battle against our shaitan and nafs?
So one of the lessons our teachers, they mention, is that there are two conditions of the path to Allah. One is mujahida, striving, right? And the other is tawbah, that you strive your best to stop the sin, and when you fall into the sin, you do tawbah, and you strive again to continue away, and to go on the path to Allah. We mentioned the path, and the brothers here, they can inshallah inform you, is there are four stages. The first stage is the tazkiyah of the body, to stop sinning with your body, right? That you strive to do these things, and that will inshallah impact the rest of your life, your mind, your heart, when you stop doing these things and you strive. These are the two conditions of the path. That you, number one, you strive to stop the nafs from taking over. And if it does, you do tawbah and you continue. And the fruits of this path, which will then allow you to continue to fight against the nafs, is having that awareness of Allah. That the path that we teach here, it gives you that constant awareness of Allah. And that itself will be a preventative, right? That at the beginning, a sin is very easy to do. But the path that we teach is it creates a habit of awareness of Allah. It creates a habit of stopping the sin to the point that you detest the sin naturally and you want to stay away from it. Because at the moment, from the question, it seems like the sin is so easy to do, I'm struggling to stay away from it. The best advice our teacher gives, Sheikh Ahmed Dabag, is that you stay away from it, you keep on staying away from it until it just becomes a habit to stay away from it. For those that train, that sometimes it's not about being strong, it's about knowing the technique and knowing it so well that you do it without thinking. When someone grabs you, you know exactly what to do at that moment, not because you're thinking, you do it without even thinking. Right? You get into the positions without thinking in a fight. That is the mindset that our teacher is aiming to get us into, that without thinking you detest the sin. Without thinking, you look away, you lower your gaze. At the beginning it may be difficult, but there become a point where you keep lowering your gaze, not looking at haram, to the point that when something comes up, you do it. Even when you're alone, you just look down and you're like, oh, just like. But it's because you've created that habit, right? So inshallah, I hope that answers. If it doesn't, there's in Mashallah Ustadh Majid and Ustadh Tahir, they can answer those questions as well.
Jazakallah khair, Ustadh Muazzam. Inshallah, before we go on to the zikr, as Ustadh Muazzam mentioned, he gave us a very motivational nasiha about a very important personality to us all, and he mentioned the path. Now, just before we began the nasiha today, the brothers were talking about them knowing each other from jiu-jitsu and martial arts. And we learned from Khalid bin Walid the amount of effort and energy they invested in their battle. And it's really important that we invest in our battles so we can catch those lapses. And forgive me for my ignorance, but I know there's moves like neck breakers, leg breakers. And on this path, there's exactly the same moves. There's techniques to break your tongue, break the sins of your tongue, break your eyes, break the sins of your eyes. And it systematically takes you through each of your bodily organs so that you build a habit. And if you would like to know more about how to master this real martial art, this martial art that will change your futures and change your akhirah, then please do stay behind. We have Ustadh Muazzam here who could go through this step-by-step course with you. It will take no more than 5 to 10 minutes. And Ustadh Majid. And we also have Sister Hafsa from the sisters' side if anybody's interested. And those of you who are in the ring, in the arena, who are fighting this battle, every day is a challenge. If you'd like advice on your path, again, please do stay behind. So we will now, inshallah, proceed to the zikr majlis, and we'll ask our Ustadh Tahir to come forward for the zikr. We will be turning off the lights, and the reason we turn off the lights is just so we can be in a state of reflection, just to connect ourselves to Allah. This is your moment, my brothers and sisters. This is your moment with Allah. We've heard the nasiha. Now it's time for us to deeply, truly connect to Allah, connect your heart to Allah, and ask Allah, Allah, please, allow this nasiha, allow this time here in your company to change my heart and put me in your direction. And inshallah, there's a few keys we mentioned. So we ask you all now we ask the brothers to switch off the lights in this room as well. And remember the 3 keys, that Allah is with me, Allah is watching me, and Allah is hearing me. And it is a loud zikr, so I'll ask you all to raise your voices, and inshallah we will now proceed.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم على حبيبك خير الخلق محمد سير القونين وثقلين محمد سير القونين وثقلين والفريقين من عرب ومن أجمي مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم فاعلم أنه لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله 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 إلا أستغفر الله أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم اللهم صل على
أعوذ بال أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم إنك عفو كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين سبحان الله وبحمده سبحان الله العظيم يا ربي لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك نستغيث أصلح لي شأني ولا تكلني إلى نفسي طرفة عين اللهم عافني في بدننا اللهم عافني في سمعنا اللهم عافني في بصرنا لا إله إلا أنت اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الكفر والفقر وأعوذ بك من عذاب القبر اللهم أجرني من النار اللهم أجرني من النار اللهم إني أسألك الجنة ونعوذ بك من النار Ya Rabbil Alameen, accept this gathering. Ya Allah, forgive us for any shortcomings and for any ill intentions. Ya Rabbil Alameen, allow us to make you our objective and make it easy for us to attain your pleasure. Ya Rabbil Alameen, facilitate and Ya Allah, facilitate gatherings and places that we can go to so we can come close to you, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Ya Allah, bless our families and our children, grant them Jannah Firdaus, protect them from all sin and fusuq and trials and tribulations. Ya Allah, protect us from the trials of life and the trials of death and the trials of Masih ad-Dajjal. Ya Rabbil Alameen, all the brothers and sisters that have come here today, Ya Allah, accept this from them, grant them for those, forgive them for all the sins, any halal du'as or needs that they may have, Ya Allah, we ask you that you fulfill it with your infinite treasures. Ya Allah, you al-Mu'ti, you're the one that gives. Ya Allah, give us whatever is good for us and protect us from anything that is evil for us, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Ya Allah, one of the Ustadh Tahir's uncle, Ya Allah, he is ill and we ask that you give him shifa, kamila and ajila, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Ya Allah, likewise his niece has had a child, the child is ill, Ya Allah, we ask that you give shifa to the child. And Ya Allah, any one of our family and ourselves, if we are ill physically, spiritually, mentally, Ya Allah, we ask you to alleviate it. Ya Shafi, Ya Shafi, Ya Shafi. اللهم إني أسألك من خير سألك منه نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وأعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذ منه نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم أنت المستعان وعليك بلاغ ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين.
Jazakallah khair, Ustadh Muazzam and Ustadh Tahir. Alhamdulillah, that does conclude our dhikr and nasiha majlis. And inshallah, again, just a reminder for brothers, we have this every week in this center, 7 to 8 p.m. And it really is a reminder for us all to help us throughout the week, to help us throughout the month. And again, I invite you all, if you'd like to find out about how to enter the battle and how to learn these techniques, Ustadh is here and he has given us some of his time. So please do stay behind. We also invite you to stay behind for some light refreshments. And if you have questions, you can ask the Ustadhs over the table as well. Inshallah, if you are not part of our WhatsApp group and you'd like to keep in touch with our events, because we do some workshops throughout the year as well, please come and see me and I can add you to that as well. May Allah bless you all, may Allah reward you, may Allah enable you all to become closer to Him, and inshallah we will see you again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.